Hi Siri, I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the program. It's Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a good show. Got JC here in just a minute on the Whittemore hotline. Then at 8:25-ish, we'll be joined by ESPN's Mike Morgan. Get his thoughts on. He called the Kentucky game against Miami, Ohio. I think he's at Oklahoma this week, but we'll get his thoughts of SEC football and also the national landscape. If you missed it, the Gators jumped in the coaches poll to number 19, which is about right. Coach Burr and I did a podcast yesterday. We said 22 or 23, and then in the AP, the press loves the Gators, so they went up to number 12. JC, you're on the Whittemore hotline. Good morning.
The Gators won the weekend, QB, and that's why everybody's giving them so much love and attention right now. And you can, if you looked at college football last week, you said who won the weekend, who lost the weekend. Florida was absolutely one of the two top teams that definitely won the weekend. And so that gets you attention, and it gets you ratings, and it gets you love and everything. But guess what happens if they flop against Kentucky? So, that all goes away. And really, there's nothing wrong with reveling in the glory of what happened Saturday night, QB. But, man, this is over. And this game coming up, as we've said before, if you had to win one of the two, which one would you rather win? It's going to be the game we're playing Saturday. So that game against Kentucky is vital. It's an SEC East game. You must win it because the team that loses is automatically a game and a half behind the team that wins it in the division standings. So that's very, very important for both teams. Kentucky's going to have some question marks at running back, but maybe not. And Florida's going to have, another opportunity to impress the country that's given them so much love. And QB, here's the thing. It's what you've been saying for about, 9 months. The Gators ran for 283 yards, 4 touchdowns. If you take away Anthony Richardson's cut of that, they still averaged 6.3 yards per attempt. And that's against the Kyle Whittingham defense that we know is very, very good and physical. And that has not allowed a team even 4 yards per carry on the season since 2017. So Florida's offensive line should certainly be something to keep your eye on to see if they can continue this kind of efficiency.
Yeah, I mean, they played exactly how I think I told people they were going to play. They're going to run the football. Right. They're going to run the football. If we're throwing a bunch, that means we are losing by a lot.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
I will say this: the video people on Twitter for Florida did a phenomenal. I don't know what it's called. It's just a video about 5 minutes. But I tell you what, I've been telling you, JC, and our other listeners how much I love Billy Napier. But the way the dude speaks to the team after games and stuff, it's incredible. I mean, he is so humble, so down to earth. Understands he's got his pulse on the program, and. Well, kudos to him and his staff. I mean, it is unbelievable.
Well, think about the fans in Louisiana right now. Billy basically tried to get Scott Woodward to just take his phone call, and it didn't happen, and allowed Billy to look at Florida. And I think Florida fans should be thrilled that Brian Kelly's mumbling around, playing silly games on videos, and Billy Napier is actually doing work and getting kids to respond to what he's trying to accomplish here. And folks, listen, if they still go 8-4 or 7-5 or 9, the culture is changing at this school, and it's only going to get more efficient, and football is going to be much more disciplined and fun to watch.
Dan says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law, one of the stalled late drives was because Richardson had 2 bad throws. It doesn't take much. No. And people take what I say the wrong way.
Well,
it's just amazing to me. I have never once in my life said Anthony Richardson is not a very good quarterback. I said he is not an elite thrower, but he doesn't have to be in this system. And that's what makes Billy Napier a damn good football coach. He's going to do what the kid is good at.
Right.
And they're not going to ask him to do a whole lot. It's funny. I got all these. Our text line is working now, folks. To tighten our text line, but we also get comments on YouTube. I'm going to read some of these, JC. These people crack me up.
Oh, good.
And it's all due to comments that I made. William says, those players puking on the sideline, but the weather wasn't a factor. Look, dudes puke all during the game. I had people that puked when I played for the Chicago Bears, and it was 20 below zero. I thought they handled the weather extremely well.
Hey, how about the guy from Purdue that puked all over the sideline after he took the pick six back? It was just
yeah. But that's the weather. Rob says number 9 sees the game at a different level. Most y'all fans do not. It's not negativity. It's called analysis. That's what he does. There was another one here I wanted to read. Brian, and I agree 100% with what Brian says here. The weirdest part about that game was either team could have won by 14 points if they got all the breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a game going back and forth. Ron says he thought the defense played well. I don't. They came up with a few plays to win, but I mean, I don't know. What did you think the defense played well?
Well, here's what I would say. Utah's got some pretty good players, folks. I mean,
look, here's the thing, JC. We play in the SEC. Yeah. If we're not playing Vanderbilt, they're going to have good players.
That is true.
And then William also said, I said, hunker down and praise the dogs. Thought you were a Gator. Yeah, I mean.
Well, come on. You can't be a serious football analyst or viewer if you weren't impressed by what Georgia did. I mean, you would have you're basically just, If
you don't think the Georgia Bulldogs are good, I don't know where you're living.
Yeah, you're subject to hyperbole here. I mean, if you're telling me that Georgia isn't the real deal, I think what surprised people is that Georgia, with all those players that they had to replace, was as dominant as they were. And I don't think Oregon's a 3-9 team, QB. So I'm willing to give Georgia the benefit of the doubt that they could have done that to just about almost anyone they had to play in the Pac-12 on Saturday. So, I don't know if they would have beat Utah 49-3, but who knows? I mean, they're very, very good. We know this.
Yeah. Joseph says, do you not just feel it when AR is on the field? The guy's different. There's no stat about the fact.
Yeah.
Joseph, that's not – I didn't even mention that.
Yeah.
I just told y'all, if we throw for more than 30 pass attempts or 35, I mean,
we're in trouble.
These are people that don't – I mean, I'm at practice. I know what they're going to do. If we are doing that, that means we are losing. Billy is a smart football coach. We are going to run the football, and yes, we're going to throw it some, but we're going to throw it with hopefully high percentage completions, because we're going to try to keep it away. I'm just telling you. Okay? If y'all want him to drop back and throw it 50 times, you're going to be asking why we're not running the football. Because a good football coach does what his team is good at. And that is run the football. So.
Well, and another characteristic, QB, of a good football coach, or at least the one we have in Florida here, is one that they had, at Alabama and other places that won, is that offensive lines are important. And Billy likes big offensive linemen that can move and block. And that's who we recruit.
I would think most people do, JC.
Well, but gosh, you look at what Purdue does and throwing the ball 58 times, and you have to wonder if they like running the football or have an offensive line that can run block. I just think run blocking really opens up everything, and Florida's going to be very proficient.
Run blocking is if you talk to any lineman, they prefer to run block over pass block. They absolutely do. But I thought our pass protection was outstanding.
Yeah,
This is a text on the Titan MR text line from Ryan. He says, good morning, gents. Glad y'all got the Titan MR text line back in business. Yep. It was a struggle, but we're rolling now. Shane, congrats on your first win in the booth. Billy and the boys will have you over 500 by mid-season. Speaking of the booth, how about the debuts of the new voice of the Gators and Simi, starting out their new respective gigs with a bang? I heard the HBC say that after the first win over Okie State, the Gators jumped into the rankings and never was unranked after that in his 12 years. I didn't realize that. Here's hoping Coach Napier keeps the Gators ranked for the next 20. Well, whether he keeps us ranked for the next 20, however long he's here, we're going to be headed in the right direction. No question about that.
Yeah, they won the weekend, folks. I mean, but let's just try to remember that after the first game, there tends to be an overreaction in many cases. But it doesn't take a lot to overreact to a very simple game plan that Florida executed and did very well.
Yeah.
And the defense is bend but don't break style kind of defense is what we're going to have to get used to around here. That's just the way it is. They're going to get yards on us. But if you can stiffen up and force field goals or maybe a fumble or turnover, you're doing your job.
Are you in the market to buy or sell your home? Darlene Weeby, a realtor with Caldwell Banker Emmett Parish, will provide you with fast, friendly, reliable service. Call her today at 352-562-1411 to help your dreams come true. Speaking with JC here on the Titan Moore Hotline, we'll have Mike Morgan about 8:25.
I like it.
This is a good question here by John. He says, QB, what did you think of the pre-snap shifts and motions? That looks like it puts a lot of stress on the defense. Your thought? What it does is it's to mess with the minds of the defense. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. We fake a lot of jet sweeps. And all it does is if you just your eye discipline on defense, if you're just one step slow due to some fake or some shift or out of alignment, we have them out leveraged. Prime example, the first fourth down play that going to the north end zone, we ran a little play. It's like a naked. It's an NFL play, but it's out of the pistol where Anthony spins, but Montrell hits the flat right away. Okay, we out leveraged them. There was nobody out there because they were misaligned. But even if you just have a step, you have him out leveraged. He made a good throw, got down to like the 2-yard line. But yeah, all that stuff is it's easy for the offense because you know where you're going and you know what you're supposed to be doing. But it's all about outnumbering and out leveraging and all screwing with the eye discipline of the. Jennifer asked, "Am I in a wine cellar?" No, we are in a distillery somewhere in the state of Kentucky.
Yeah,
a lot of bourbon in those barrels.
Yes, I love your theme of the, when you're playing a team, what the theme of the week is. Next week, I guess you'll be in Clearwater Beach. But
yes, we may travel to some beach.
Maybe you'll be at Busch Gardens on the
maybe we may run with the Bulls in Spain.
Pamplona, Spain, very traditional.
The Bulls are rolling into town, so we shall see. We shall see.
They'll be
Shane says, what happened to the middle of our D on Saturday night against the run? I thought Dexter was good. What happened? Just our D line's not great. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I've been saying it for 2 years. Brenton Cox was your defensive player of the week. He made 10 tackles. I think they're all assists, one solo, but he can run around, but sometimes he does his own thing too much. So we'll see. It's a work in progress. That's why if you look at next year's class, it's got a bunch of D linemen.
QB, I wanted to go ahead.
Go ahead.
Look, I just wanted to shift gears for a minute. There was one guy that nobody says anything about, that nobody ever talks about, and for whatever reason is going to be very, very he's going to be in the news flow if it keeps going like this. But this kid at Mississippi State had a 450-yard day with 5 touchdowns and was damn near 40 out of 49. It's 38 out of 49. And he had to sit around in a locker room for about 2.5 hours from the time they started to the time they ended. They play at Arizona this week. And the reason I'm bringing up Will Rogers is because usually in Mike Leach's third year, I've looked this up, their offense gets very, very good. Washington State had a lot of success, as did Texas Tech. It seemed like, for some reason, in the third year of when Mike Leach had gotten there, and that's where Mississippi State is, I'm just saying, keep your eye on the Bulldogs. Just keep your eye on.
Well, somebody picked them as the number 2 team in the SEC West. Somebody, I don't know who, but somebody.
Somebody else agreed with you too. So
Andy asked, Facebook Live brought to you by Melon Law. Shane, were you surprised that ETN and Dejon Reynolds saw the field in the first quarter? Not at all. Not at all. I like all 3 running backs. I know Naquan started. I think as the season progresses, you will see Montrell Johnson as the premier running back. Because he's damn good, but the coach has coached him for a year. He was the freshman of the year in the Sun Belt, and you go with what you know. Rick asked, why did Whittemore get so little playing time? Don't know the answer to that. They don't rotate their receivers. Like there was only 37 players that played in this game. That's what I always tell people. People always laugh. The average is about 36.
Is it? Okay.
You dress. They can dress everybody for that game because it was non-conference. But when it's conference games, you can only dress 70. But think about that. You have 85 kids on scholarship. and only 37 kids played in a game.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's about average. That's about normal, though. Ted says, do you think ETN will get more playing time? I think he'll get 5 or 6 carries a game. Text on the Titanmore text line from Chris. He says Kentucky only ran the ball 50 yards against Miami of Ohio. If they do that Saturday, they will lose by double digits. Billy's system has turned AR into a 70% passer. Yes, for game 1, because it's going to be high percentage throws. So we'll see. I don't want to read too much into that Kentucky not being able to run the ball against Miami of Ohio, because every game's different. So it's going to be a physical football game.
Yes.
John says, did I see Clemson Georgia Tech? I did. Says the Klubnik kid looked good in the 4th. I'm not sure I didn't see him play. I fell asleep.
Oh, TV. You would have liked it. You'd have liked it.
No, I've seen him play. Look. I have seen DJU Ungalalele play enough football that he cannot play quarterback. Because here's the thing. I think he was the number 1 dual threat quarterback coming out his year. I think he was number 1 out of California.
Right.
Yeah. He was huge. He lost like 15 or 20 pounds. But look, and he has a great arm. But you talking about what is one of the JC, I'm gonna see if you've been paying attention over the years. Okay. What is one of my 3 criteria of being a decent quarterback?
Accuracy.
Well, but the biggest is decision making.
Well, yes.
He goes back. Coach Spur and I were talking about it yesterday. He goes back
coverage,
and it's like he does not know where anybody's supposed to be or where anybody's going.
So in that game, you did see some of their receivers drop pretty good passes, but I'm with you here on this. And you ask yourself, well, what's going on? Well, I think there's an incredible loyalty to this kid, Ugalele. And I think for all the hype, maybe Klubnik isn't quite ready yet. He's going to get a lot of opportunities here in the next 2 weeks when they play some pretty soft teams at Furman and Louisiana Tech. So Clemson's going to have a chance to put this kid out there on the field, and you're going to see him. But there could be something else going on, and that is there's really no good option behind, those 2 players, and they don't want to lose DJ mid-season, kind of like they did in 2018 with Kelly Bryant, because back then they had a pretty good a backup by a kid named Chase Bryce. They don't have that backup now. So if you throw Klubnik in there as they go to Wake Forest in week 4, and DJ's pissed and says, well, I'm moving on out of here, there's no backup for Clemson. So that could be another thing that's going on. It's a loyalty thing that they want to keep DJ around because they don't have anybody after the number 2 guy. But I'm with you right here. This could be another Trevor Lawrence, Kelly Bryant thing as the season works its way through and we go along. I don't think they want to see DJ be leaving in midseason, much like what Kelly Bryant did.
No, that's a good point. Dan says, I've been to plenty of rain games. Never saw the band not go on the field. Yeah, they were in the tunnel ready to come out and do their pregame, but too many divots being made, and they just told them to go. It was strange with the pregame ceremony stuff, the pageantry, which is what's great about college football. I love all that. For them to be doing it sitting in the stands, it was kind of strange. Yeah. All right, JC, let's get to our Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's number 1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. We got 1 game tomorrow. We'll have all our college picks on Friday, but the NFL starts tomorrow. And I guess I saw some commercials. I guess I ain't gonna be able to watch it.
You're not going to be able to watch it.
Do you have the Prime Video or whatever it is? Amazon Prime?
Is it on Amazon Prime? That's who's got it?
Yeah.
No. So it looks like
you ain't gonna watch it either. Then
looks like a bar. Then looks like one of the bar scenes for me, at least for the first half. QB, the Rams and the Bills are 2 of the favorite teams in their conferences, respectively. And I think when you look at, whoopsie daisy, sorry about that, my thing fell. When you look at why, it's because the quarterback position is certainly the defenses. Von Miller will be playing for Buffalo in this game, not the Rams. He moved on after they rented him for a Super Bowl, and this is your pick to win the Super Bowl. Or
it is. These are the 2 teams I picked to play in the Super Bowl, right?
These are the 2 teams you picked to play, and it wouldn't surprise anybody. But 17 weeks is a long year, QB. So much can happen. But I think you're going to enjoy this game if you want to watch it.
Well, I can't.
You like offense. No. I mean, you'd have to go. You probably have to go somewhere to watch it, and I don't know if you're willing to do that. I don't really know how that happens. How does the NFL?
I mean, what is Amazon TV anyway?
It's just like it's the same thing when somebody asks me, "What is a Fire Stick?" I have a Fire Stick.
I have a Fire Stick. I do.
Well, why can't you watch it then?
Because I don't subscribe to Amazon or whatever.
Doesn't the Fire Stick work for that?
No.
I don't. Well, listen. This
So
is
John, the game is not on NBC. You will be watching like America's Got Talent or something.
Oh dear God! Well, I don't understand why the NFL distributes that way and why they would allow that. I just don't. I mean, this is a coast to coast game. They're gonna have a big number, and they stick it on some distribution access that's limited. Somebody has to explain that to me, and maybe we don't have all the facts, but. As far as the game goes, Buffalo's a 2.5-point favorite, and
where's this game being played?
It's being played in Los Angeles, and it says a lot. It says a lot that they would go in as a damn near field goal favorite against the defending Super Bowl champions, who basically have just about everyone back without a couple names. You get Bobby Wagner in the lineup. You get Von Miller out of the lineup for the Rams. Bobby Wagner's a Hall of Fame linebacker. He'll soak up a lot of that they missed from Von Miller, I would think. Some different players on the outside. Allen Robinson, who's going to be catching passes for the Rams, who used to play for the Jaguars, was pretty efficient wide receiver, got hurt a bunch, also played for the Bears. And then you're going to see this Buffalo offense, which is just absolutely loaded. Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs are good receivers. This kid, Gabe Davis, I mean, he had something like 4 or 5 caught a bunch of passes against Kansas City in that playoff game. So I think Josh Allen is the story here, as is Matthew Stafford. And the problem with the Rams and Matthew Stafford is they're not really sure what his overall health is, but it's going to be good enough to start tomorrow night.
So what are you taking?
Give me the Rams.
All right. I mean, you gave me this long explanation and never picked the game.
I'm setting you up.
I'll take Buffalo. I got a bunch of Facebook Live. Some people think the game is on NBC tomorrow.
Okay.
Amazon Prime Thursday night start week 2, they say. This is hilarious. Dan says 25 million viewers watched the new Lord of the Rings show on Amazon. Dan, I ain't watched 1 second of Lord of the Rings and never
Dan,
will.
I'm in it. I'm into it, Dan. I'm also watching the Game of Thrones.
Oh, my God. Those are so damn dumb. That stuff is so weird to me. This was hilarious. Daniel says, Shane, come off the $15 a month, free Amazon delivery, and you get the video. Well, here's the thing, Daniel. I've never bought anything on Amazon. And I have no problem doing the $15, but I wouldn't even know how to set it up.
Right. I bought one thing on Amazon, and it was so cheap and chintzy looking when it came, I'll never buy again. That NBC has the game tomorrow night. Okay, let's just
But I think they're only doing it week 1, and then it goes to Amazon.
Okay. Well, that makes sense because there's no way you put the Rams and the damn Bills, who are the Super Bowl favorites in each conference, on some nebulous distribution line.
Yeah.
You put them on the national net.
Chris is telling me here on the Titan MR text line, Shane needs to join the 21st century and buy Amazon Prime membership. It's $100 for the year, and you do all your shopping online, including groceries. I think these people don't understand when it comes to computers. It drives me insane. I can't remember my password.
It's hard.
I'd rather go to Publix and buy my own groceries.
100%.
Because I don't buy anything else on Amazon. So
I don't like ordering anything online. QB, how many times have you ordered clothes online? You get it in the box, you open it up, and it doesn't fit. The size is wrong. You can't look at it. I know the convenience factor is there for many things, and I do that. But when it comes to clothes and items, I can't stand ordering online. I can't stand it because it's never what I want it to be.
Well, you order all your gear on Fanatics.
I hate it, and I'm not doing it anymore. The shirts are always too small. Extra large shirt is a medium. I mean, it really looks like you should see this LA Rams shirt.
JC,
I should go get this LA Rams shirt that I ordered that they said was
quit buying the 100% cotton ones. Don't buy the 100% cotton. Get up to date with some dry fit. All right, we got to go. We got to get to Mike Morgan. We got to actually talk about some football and not talk about Amazon Prime and ordering gear.
You brought up Amazon Prime.
I did. All right, JC, get your picks ready for Friday. You're sitting at 7-8, and I've made a huge comeback early in the season at 5-10 already.
5-10. Okay, good deal. I enjoyed watching Mike.
JC, join us on the Titan MR hotline. We'll be right back with Mike Morgan.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate. With premium brands like Escape Apology, F45 Training, Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Prime and Pearl, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, now selling Head Beer Coach American Lager in 16-ounce cans, available at Spurrier's, Visors, and Gator games at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan More hotline, and I bet this dude would like a six-pack of the Head Beer Coach American Lager.
Heck yeah.
Mike Morgan from ESPN. How you doing, my man?
Bring it. I do have already, I don't have the beer, unfortunately, although it might be a little early, just a couple hours. But I have the Spurrier visor. Do you remember, like, I don't know what you were like as a kid, Shane, but I never owned a visor. Never even thought about wearing a visor until watching you guys in person in Gainesville as a student. And Spurrier had so much swag with that visor. And all of a sudden, I'm like going to, wherever I could find it, the bookstore, the Rights Union, somewhere to find an actual visor. And from that point on, I went through a phase where I never even thought about wearing a hat. So I'd have a few hats, but I'm almost all visor since then.
Yeah, I'm a visor guy too. I don't know if Pick and Save was around when you were here. That may have been before your time, but that's where they sold the Steve Spurrier sportswear.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was
nice.
It was great. But anyway, I'm a visor guy. I call what Coach Spurrier likes to wear. I call it the old man visor.
Uh-huh.
The big, tall up front visor.
Yeah.
You got what I call that a young man visor.
This is a young man visor. Yeah.
Visor.
This is definitely not as, Steve's got it up to about here.
Yeah.
I'm more low. It's flexible, good for golf, good for whatever. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, let's first start on the game that you call, which a lot of Gator fans are going to be wanting your thoughts. You called the Kentucky Miami Ohio. Kentucky kind of sputtered around, didn't run the football well. Give us kind of what your thoughts about the Big Blue.
I think a couple of things right off the bat that are going to translate into the matchup with Florida on Saturday. Number one, they are a different team without Chris Rodriguez. I know we're at a point in time where a lot of the running back position has been devalued somewhat, and we just think they're all plug and play. I thought Montrell Johnson proved otherwise on Saturday for Florida. We'll get to him, I guess, later. But people love saying the name Cavassier Smoke, and he's a nice back, but he ain't Chris Johnson. Excuse me, Rodriguez. He's a serviceable back. Rodriguez is a difference maker, and he is part and parcel to what Kentucky does well offensively, which is limit possessions, sustain drives, ground and pound, win the battle up front, which brings me to number two. The Big Blue Wall, to me, is not what it used to be. They lost 3 starters. Horsey was also out in the game we did. I don't know what his status is this week. I know they've already changed the left tackle out. This is not your typical Kentucky offensive line that we've come to know as one of the more dominating ones in the SEC. So I think right off the bat, offensive line concerns are there. I mean, Will Levis was running for his life against Miami of Ohio. they were getting hits on him left and right. How is that going to stop against Florida's front? And then again, we're all still waiting. Unless something's changed in the last 24 hours, I still don't know the update on Rodriguez. They kept it so secret when we were there. And I know their sports information folks are as good as anybody in the country, but they were not going to let us know what the latest was there. So those are two things that stand out to me. Look, this is a matchup of two NFL quarterbacks in my estimation, in Richardson and Levis. But Levis is the more established guy right now in terms of making key plays with his arm. He is the real deal. Scouts are drooling over Will Levis for a lot of different reasons. They're wide receivers. There's no Wandell, but there's some good freshman wideouts that don't look the part for Kentucky. Like, these are legitimate game-breaking receivers in time, whether it's Dane Key or Barryon Brown, who took the 100-yard kickoff return. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. But if I'm Florida, I'm looking at that Kentucky offensive line and saying, hey, we could do some damage there.
Well, we got a text here, an anonymous text. He goes, but Miami, Ohio could have a better front four than us.
I mean, well, I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not, too, because I've been preaching for the last year and a half, 2 years, Mike, that's the weakness of the Florida football program right now. It's been the front four on defense, and we didn't get close to Cam Rising the other night. We didn't affect him at all. They ran the ball on us, but Utah's a solid team. They're probably a little more established than Kentucky, but we'll see. Andy has a question for you here on the Facebook Live brought to you by Melon Law. He says, Mike, how does Ramon Jefferson's injury hamper Kentucky's running game? Does that mean more passing by Levis?
Not if Rodriguez is back. Again, Ramon Jefferson, for those that don't know, is a transfer from Stephen F. Austin, ran for over 2,000 yards in 1AA. And he's like he's just a bowling ball, like 5'10", squatty, 225. But, they were working him in. If Rodriguez is there, he's going to get the bulk load of carries. He's far and away the number one back. But if he's not, it hurts because, again, Cavassier Smoke, he's serviceable, but he's not a great running back, and he's not overly physical, which is what Kentucky relies on. So if Rodriguez is not going to play, and the injury to the backup, then the one thing about Kentucky is they're so comfortable in their own skin, right? Like they do what they do. They are not sexy. There's nothing sexy about Kentucky. That's why Will Levis is never going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate, because they're never going to put up eye-popping numbers in that offense. They're going to limit possessions. They're going to try to control time of possession. They're going to try and play smarter than you and win the battle up front. And that's been their DNA now for years under Mark Stoops, and it's worked pretty well to the tune of 2 10-win seasons over the last 4 years. So they're not going to just abandon the running game due to the injuries or suspensions or anything else. They're still going to do what they do. But, it puts more pressure on Will Levis to make plays, because I think Florida's going to score points on Saturday. Kentucky's still good defensively, but they're not lights out good. Brad White's going to be a head coach. Their defensive coordinator, Howie, hasn't been offered a mainstream job yet. I don't know, but he will be. They're always well coached. They do a number of things well, and their linebacking core has 4 studs on it. Their secondary, their defensive line, but their linebacking core is one of the best in the league.
We got a lot of people here asking. They thought Stoops already said that Rodriguez was out for the Florida game. Is that not the case?
It might be. Again, they wouldn't tell us when we were there, and I haven't checked the internet or anything else. So, would not surprise me. It felt like it was going to be at least 2 games, and it felt like it was more than just the DUI that was keeping this thing going. So. That's a huge suspension. I mean, if he is out, again, I know we're just used to thinking all running backs are kind of the same. That they're not, and he is their bell cow. So look for them to still run the ball, but I don't think they're going to be as effective, which means more 3rd and long, which means more Will Levis trying to beat you with his arm.
Josh says, Shane, any guys from Utah you expect to be playing on Sundays in the coming years? I think there's a few that will get a shot at the NFL. Cam Rising, he's only a junior, I think. Their running back is very good. He'll get a look. The two tight ends
Tight
definitely
ends.
will get a look, and one of their corners is highly regarded in the NFL. So they'll get a shot on Sunday. I don't know how long they'll play. But anyway, did you get to see have you watched the tape of the Florida game at all?
I've seen quite a bit of it. Yeah, I watched the fourth quarter and obviously the final drive. Again, I thought everybody's on the Anthony Richardson bandwagon now, right? Like we knew that was going to happen, and it's funny that last second pick by Cam Rising changes the narrative of the entire season for Florida, because let's say he throws a touchdown or they win it in overtime. Then it's, man, Richardson's got a chance to be special, but Florida still has a way to go. They've been losing these games for a while, and Dan Mullen didn't leave Billy Napier with a ton of talent. And now all of a sudden it's Florida, second best team in the East. Look out. Richardson's Heisman odds went from like 1,000 to 1 to, I don't know, 18 to 1 or something ridiculous. So, but I thought Montrell Johnson controlled the game when he ran the football. It's a transfer from Louisiana who was a Sun Belt Freshman of the Year, and I thought you needed that to take some of the pressure off Anthony Richardson. I got to say this: there's been a lot of Cam Newton talk. I covered Cam Newton for 5 years in Carolina. I used to do the preseason games. I remember the first time Cam Newton walked into one of our meetings with a sleeveless Under Armour shirt. I've never seen a physical specimen like that at quarterback. Still have it. He's a little bit bigger than Anthony, and probably the arm talent is ahead of where Anthony is now. I think the better comparison is Vince Young. And remember this, Vince Young wasn't Vince Young until his senior year. Vince Young, if you look at the 2 years before 2005 when they won the Natty, he had like 20 touchdowns, 20 picks. He wasn't terribly accurate. He was this raw specimen who flashed, but he wasn't great. And that's where Anthony Richardson is right now. Like, there's a great highlight reel, but again, he's got room to improve. The Cam Newton comparison, first off, hopefully he'll be better than Cam Newton, because Cam Newton, for all his physical ability, didn't study, was not terribly mature, and should have been a Hall of Fame quarterback, but didn't have a Hall of Fame career in the NFL. Maybe this kid has got what you need from the neck up to actually do more than what Cam did. But I think the greater comparison right now would be a young Vince Young, as opposed to the Cam Newton that won a national championship at Auburn with a bunch of average talent around him.
Yeah. Speaking of, that game could have gone either way. It was a heck of a game for week one. I think it was, I was talking to someone yesterday on somebody's show. They said that Billy Napier, in his last 18 games, or 18 one-score games, was 16-3.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, and because they were involved a lot of them in the Sun Belt. In the Sun Belt, which, by the way, people talk about the Power 5. If you were to extend it to the Power 6, a lot of people would just assume the American is the sixth best. I'm not so sure it's not the Sun Belt. When you look at the teams coming out of there, whether it's Louisiana, whether it's Coastal Carolina, et cetera, that's a good league. So, but you don't have, like, no team has this incredible advantage over the other. Like, NIL doesn't play a factor in the Sun Belt, and you're not pulling in 5 stars. So that's a really good indication of coaching to me, because you don't have, it's not like an Alabama or a Georgia where you just have massive talent advantages even within conference. You all are playing with similar decks, and it's going to be a lot of close games. And Billy Napier won those close games for most of the time that he was at Louisiana.
Robert on the Titan MR text line asked, Mike, what teams in the SEC impressed you the most this week?
Well, it starts with Georgia. I mean, look, I didn't think that game was going to be close, but I didn't think they were going to take Oregon to the slaughterhouse. Stetson Bennett will never get credit that he aptly deserves. Like, I get it. He's not an NFL guy, and he looks like the nerd that sat across from you in the theater appreciation class. But the bottom line is he balls, and he is a winner. And it's not like he's just the gritty, gutty kid. No, he actually can run, and he's actually an accurate passer. Like, it's not just all intangibles. He does have ability. People have to accept the fact Georgia right now is Alabama 2.0. They recruit like Alabama, and the fact that they can lose all those guys to the NFL a year ago, and they don't have to rebuild. They are truly just reloading. I mean, we saw that on Saturday on full display. So you've got Georgia and Alabama that are in the class of their own this year. They just are. And then the other teams that we want to see, like there's two games that are must see this weekend in the SEC. One of them is right where you are. Well, not with the bourbon barrels, but where you will be in the swamp. I like that touch, by the way. I'm a big Woodford Reserve guy, for the record. And then I think South Carolina, Arkansas is another intriguing. We're going to find out, is Arkansas legit? Like KJ Jefferson, and we're going to find out if Spencer Rattler is legit. He had kind of a shaky performance in week one. Those two games stand out to me. We're going to start that hierarchy in each division is going to start shaping up a little bit. But A&M, not overly impressive. Ole Miss, not overly impressive. Auburn, I wasn't overly impressed by a whole lot, but I think this Saturday we'll find out a bunch more about who are those 3, 4, 5 teams in this league.
Yeah, and I had a coach tell me that they thought Georgia, Dan Lanning's a very good coach, but they think that Georgia is going to be better defensively with Will basically controlling the whole defense.
Yeah.
Muschamp.
It must change. Look, people's image of, and he's still like hated amongst Gamecock fans because
and Gator fans too.
And Gator fans, yeah, right. You got two fan bases that are still bitter about the time frame. Look, some guys, for whatever reason, are just not cut out to be head coaches, but they are elite coordinators. And you look at Will Muschamp's resume, it's easy to forget. He was an elite coordinator. So that's a huge pickup. It's an absolute huge pickup. The man can, you give him the talent and you don't put the pressure of a head coach on him, and he will devise a scheme that's going to be one of the best in the country.
Hey, Chris Doring Mortgage. They do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with Mike Morgan from ESPN here, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Hey, I had a question for you, and I just forgot about it.
By the way, the questions from your listeners are outstanding. I love the interaction you have on this. This is fantastic.
Yeah, we got these people love the Gators, and they love SEC football.
Yeah,
Let's talk national perspective. You go to OU. We'll talk about that in a minute. You're at OU this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to see any of the Ohio State Notre Dame game, but I thought it was going to be blowout city. Now, I realize C.J. Stroud played without a couple of receivers, but were you surprised at how low scoring, or they didn't score a whole lot of points?
Yeah, I was. And by the way, you know, the defensive coordinator for Notre Dame is another guy that was just like ostracized from the coaching community, Al Golden. Remember Al Golden? Yeah. He's now running the defense. That. Yeah. Most people don't. And he the time at Miami, of course, Miami fans, 90% of them never been on the campus. But it's a lot of, it's a lot of fanboys. I grew up in South Florida, so believe me, I know. But they wanted to blame Al Golden for everything that's gone wrong with Miami football for the last 30 years. Obviously, it's a bigger problem than Al Golden. But Al Golden can coach. Again, it didn't work out as a head coach, but he can still coach. And so that's a big pickup for Marcus and that staff. Like, I think that Notre Dame is going to be able to D up people. But yeah, the biggest surprise for me was Ohio State. That offense is loaded. We all know it's loaded. Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback, first-round draft pick receivers. They got everything, and yet they didn't look sharp. We can attribute that to week one. We can attribute that to again, give credit to Notre Dame's defense. But I need to see more if I'm going to be talking about Ohio State as the preseason pick to win the Natty.
We got a question here. What do you think about the Pitt Tennessee game this week? That should be a good one.
Love it. Oh man, that's another one. Even though it's at a conference, that's going to be one of my favorite games to take in. I'll have to DVR half of these things, but yeah, everybody remembers the game last year in Knoxville. Tennessee will certainly have revenge on its mind. Pitt's coming off the huge win in the backyard brawl again. What type of defense does Tennessee have this year? This will be an actual test, unlike Ball State. We're actually going to find out if they improved at all on that side of the ball. I know Hendon Hooker and that Josh Heupel offense will put up numbers, but I want to see if they can defend.
You're going to be in Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma, which they didn't miss a beat. You know, they got a new head coach in Brent Venables, new offensive coordinator who I think has done wonders everywhere he's been. What do you think about the Sooners, what you've seen so far?
Well, you hit on the biggest key, and that's Jeff Levy. No, Dylan Gabriel's a nice pickup, and he's going to put up a bunch of numbers, and they're going to score a lot of points, and I would not be surprised if they win the Big 12. But Jeff Levy was the architect of that Ole Miss offense the last couple of years. It wasn't Lane Kiffin calling the plays. It was Jeff Levy. And the fact that they were able to poach him from Oxford and bring him to Norman, that's a coup. That's an absolute coup.
Didn't he graduate from OU, though?
I believe so, yeah. He had ties there.
Okay.
But still, I mean, like, you know, at the end of the day, you things are going awfully well for you at Ole Miss, and you're working with Lane, and you're making good money, and it's the SEC. Like, alma mater or not, that's typically hard to get those guys away. But they did. Oklahoma did, and you got Ted Roof running defense. Like they got a staff now. They got an absolute staff. So I think they're going to be really good. They have question marks like everybody else does. They're still trying to figure out who their game-breaking wide receivers are, for example. I don't know if it's their typical core. Like, there's not a CD Lamb on this Oklahoma staff, and they lost their one of their top guys in the portal. So still very good. Baylor is kind of the sexy pick to win the Big 12, but I would not be surprised if it's Oklahoma when it's all said and done.
Yeah, the other big game, the Crimson Tide traveling to Austin, Texas. I just see blowout city here.
I do too. That's, I didn't even mention that, Shane, because in my mind, Fox has that game, and I'm sure Gus will be yelling and screaming in the first quarter on, but get your screams out early, because I think that game's over in the third quarter. It's brand recognition, so that makes it an intriguing matchup. But I don't think Texas is in the ballpark of Alabama. So I'm not saying it's going to be Georgia-Oregon bad, but I do think it's going to be a lopsided win.
Yeah, you know what? They played Utah State, but what surprised me watching the highlights and looking at the box score, Bryce Young, we know he's a really good athlete. He's a tremendous thrower of the football, but he ran for over 100 yards. I don't know if they're implementing more QB runs in the game or what, but look out if he starts doing that week in and week out. I want to get your thoughts on LSU-FSU game and Brian Kelly.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's start with this. I don't think that's all on Brian Kelly. Like, what I've learned about Brian Kelly, and I see this with Dabo Swinney, the national media disdain for Brian Kelly, the person, it's palpable. Like, it's real. I don't know where that comes from. Are they still bitter about the fact the way he left Cincinnati and that whole coaching situation where it's a must lie, but you're pretending that you're not lying? I don't know if it's the fact that people just hate Notre Dame and they still associate him with Notre Dame, but LSU has been a train wreck for the last couple of years. I don't know why we're acting surprised that they would have some issues in week one against a quality opponent. Like, that's not all on Brian Kelly. Do you think they win that game with Ed Orgeron? Do you think they win that game with, if you want to bring Les Miles back on the sideline eating grass, and you think they win? I don't know if they were supposed to win that game or not. It was a 2.5-point game in Vegas for a reason. Did I think LSU would win? Yes, but maybe I sold Florida State a little bit short, because not that FSU didn't do everything they could to lose the game. That the bonehead pitch play at the end of the game, my goodness, that's what we'd still be talking about if they block for an extra point. But look, LSU is still a bit of a rebuild. I think we just assume they always have 5 stars at every position on both sides of the football. They don't. They're not there yet, and they've got to erode a toxic culture that was. I mean, you see already the way Butte has handled it. That's the stuff that's been going on there for the last 2 years in Baton Rouge. Guys just finding excuses not to play. When they do play, they don't play hard. When they lose, they sulk. Like, that's been LSU football the last 2 years. So Brian Kelly's not going to fix all that in 1 week. I still think that the hire is a good hire, and I still think he'll do good things. But that was a heartbreaking loss, and he's getting eviscerated by LSU fans and the national media as if it's all on him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. All right, a few more minutes with Mike Morgan from ESPN here. Real quick, Andy asked, no, it wasn't Andy. It was another question that they had here. John wants to know, Mike, is there anyone you looked up to or have as a mentor as a play-by-play announcer?
Several. Obviously when I was a student there, I listened to a whole lot of Mick, and our style might be somewhat different, not in terms of enthusiasm, but I learned from him. I mean, as a kid, I would listen to tapes of Ernie Harwell. Vince Scully it's cliche to say Vince Scully. First off, none of us are ever going to be Vince Scully. You learn from him, but you don't try to imitate him if you're smart, because you're gonna fall flat. I think Al Michaels has been the golden standard for calling, NFL football for years. I just love his style. I love everything he does with that. Brad Nessler is a guy. When I think of SEC football on television, I think of Brad, and I think of the outstanding work that he's done. So yeah, there's a bunch of guys on radio and TV that I think I've learned from. But I always tell young announcers when I talk to them on campus, and I've done that several times in Gainesville, be yourself. Don't try to just imitate a guy you look up to. You got to be authentic, and you can't just fake that. It has to come naturally, and you have to find your own voice, so to speak. You can't just try to be a replicate of somebody else.
Yeah. You know who I love back in the day was Ron Franklin. He was one of my favorites.
That's another one. Watching Ron Franklin on ESPN on a Saturday night doing SEC game. Yeah, I mean, he's so smooth. The voice, the delivery. Yeah, Ron was A-level, no doubt.
Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Last thing, about a minute and a half we got left, Mike. We had a text here from Bob. Bob wants to know who your top 3 Heisman votes would be after week 1.
Well, look, Bryce Young is still going to be there, even though, weren't a whole lot against Utah State. I think he'll gain a lot of momentum with an impressive performance against Texas. I mean, look, we talked about it. If Anthony Richardson keeps doing what he did and does it against the competition in the SEC, there's no question he's going to get attention. KJ Jefferson is another one that could start getting more and more attention at Arkansas. Stroud of Ohio State was probably coming out of the box in the primary spot, but Ohio State did not look good. I think it's going to be another quarterback this year. Like I don't see a running back winning this award, and I don't see a wide receiver this year. Will Anderson's going to get hype of Alabama, but I think it'll be one of those premier quarterbacks, and I think there's a really good shot it could be a quarterback from this conference, because I've been on record. I think this is going to be a historically good year for quarterback play in the SEC.
Yeah. Well, Mike, we appreciate your time. Have a great call out in Oklahoma. You're also calling what pro game this week?
I got your Chicago Bears. I'll be in Chicago taking on the 49ers.
Mention my name. Don't mention my name while you're there.
How many years were you there?
7. I had some good times, but I had some bad times. They booed the hell out of me several times.
Really? So. That ain't right. I'll take it up personally. I'll go to every Chicago pub and say, "How did you boo my man Shane Matthews?"
That's right.
I'll take on all comers. By the way, the Pappy shirt I just happened to be wearing while you're sitting in front of bourbon barrels. So for about $1,000 a shot, you can go ahead and tap into some Pappy.
All right, good stuff. We appreciate it, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Enjoyed it, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, that's Mike Morgan. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We'll have Brent Beard, our college football analyst, talking college football. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.